Thank you for watching this short video, and for those who don't know who this strange man is in a frock, I'm Brother Sean, and I'm a member of the Teo community of Interfaith Franciscans. Yes, you got it in one. We embrace all faiths and all lifestyle choices, because we do not sit in judgment on the individual, but are guided by divine love to look straight into the heart. And any judgment is made by God, not by us. Okay, I watched a program on Newsnight on BBC last night, and it's always good to keep abreast of what's happening in the world. But what I found fascinating was a cult following in Mexico that's really gaining momentum, and it's to a skeleton image called Saint Death. But really the cult, quite disturbingly, offer human sacrifice to appease and also implore the divine assistance of Saint Death. It's quite bizarre, but the undertones is very much linked to evil, to Satanism. And yes, many who are there are all part of the drug culture, where they come to Saint Death for appeasement, for forgiveness, and many who come for exorcism to the Catholic Church are exorcised, and what we seen on the TV was quite horrific and disturbing. Not only what we witnessed, but the sounds we heard. But there's a great delusion today where many people think, oh, Satan, devil, evil doesn't exist. It's all in the mind. It's a weapon the church used to enslave you to fear. Trust me, it exists. Because I have encountered the forces of evil in my life. And I've actually seen the evil one as a young monk, and I was quite disturbed by it. And when I shared it with my novice master, the monk in charge of our spiritual development, he told me that it was a satanic attack. But you can always sense the presence of evil in the world when you look at the wars, the destruction of human life. When you see innocent children gassed, clearly the mindset behind that is not a person who worships a loving God. Well, if they do, they give lip service to God. Hitler was influenced by ego, and the ego was used by evil forces to go to the next level, and that was to destroy life. There are in this world a yin and yang experience, light, dark, good, evil. And you may have encountered people in your journey where you get a feeling of unease and you want to back off. And I've met many of those as a pastoral counsellor, as a therapist, and even as a nurse caring for the dying. You come across individuals and you just sense a heaviness, and they send you shivers up your spine. But don't be deluded. The evil one does exist, and he takes many forms, many disguises. The media, that's one example of how he infiltrates the minds of the innocent, the vulnerable. And I encountered evil myself in North Wales, where there were various covens, witchcraft covens. And you had three types of witches. You had the white, the grey and the black. The black witches were the ones who did actually offer human sacrifice. Now I know you're saying he has lost it big time. I haven't. I'm sharing this with you because what is happening in Mexico is happening in other parts of the world, where many get embroiled in fringe occultism, the Ouija board, tarot cards. Tarot cards was a beautiful ancient ritual of divination, but man corrupted it. Man corrupted it. And 12 years ago, when I began my journey working with Angel Love and Light, they guided me to advise people to stay clear, to steer clear of using tarot cards. And I've seen tarot readers with a beautiful angel, a flower, and all very welcoming. But when I approached them and they seen the symbol, the Teo symbol around my neck, they asked me to leave their presence because it was burning their heart. I couldn't get my head round that, but then I realized afterwards that they weren't of the light. They were giving the impression they were. They were of the dark. They were peddling dark energy to entrap others. And so it is with mediumship. Though the individuals are good and well-intentioned, but many become so infatuated by their own ego that they lose sense of being a child of God. But Saint Death is a very real religious, occult, fringe whatever, now sweeping Mexico. And when I seen the effigies like statues, draped in beautiful cloaks and tiaras and jewels, but it was of a skeleton, Saint Death. But to win her favor, you had to offer her human sacrifice. And it gave you examples of where that was happening. And there was a priest, quite an elderly priest, but who was well experienced in exorcism and the rites of supporting individuals who were locked in this fear mindset. And through pastoral support they shared with him, and he was quite horrific. It was quite horrific, and he shared that it was vile, but again it was evil. And where you have the love of God, you will have the counterbalance of evil. Where it's like yin and yang, dark, night, day, night, love, hate. But we mustn't be deluded that evil doesn't exist. We only have to look through the annals of history and see the impact of man's inhumanity to man, and the counterbalance where God brings incredible messengers of love. Martin Luther King, Martin Luther, the great Lutheran, Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Sri Chimoy, Francis of Assisi, Jesus. And Jesus said, I came that you may have life and live it to the full. But if you read the holy books, there is always reference to satanic forces. Don't be deluded. If you're unsure, always seek the wisdom of those you trust. But be on your guard, be wary. And before I go, fear. Fear is such a force of deep sadness for many people. I'm supporting several people at the moment who are locked in such depths of fear. And it really has taken over them. They're not mentally ill. But it's as if they said to me, someone has cursed us. And I have had curses sent to me down through the years. And when I first began, there was a person in Ireland who'd sent me a curse. And I didn't realize it, but I felt very heavy and very ill for 6 months. And when I contacted a dear friend of mine, her best friend used to exorcise the genies in the Asian homes in Manchester. She got her to phone me. She described this woman that I'd worked with in Dublin. And I just couldn't believe it. She even described the curse. It was an entity. So we will always encounter, like the voodoo doll, where they stick the pins in. Powerful magic, but it works. But we must never allow ourselves be hoodwinked into believing that Satanism doesn't exist, that evil, it's a mind thing. It does exist, but it has no control over us unless we enter the arena of desire and temptation. We must be strong, because what's happening today in the world, there are two forces fighting one another, good and evil. And those of us who've surrendered our heart to God, we have no fear, because He is near. And that's why we have our live stream channel, where we go live every night at 8 o'clock for peace, to network. And of course on our other live stream channel we have morning and evening prayer and a midnight vigil for those who are wounded, for those who are afraid, for those who need love and support. But God's love will always triumph over evil. And the great battle will be won, but it's being staged at the moment in the world, where you have these amazing forces, political forces, who are anti-peace, anti-love, pro-war. The Berlin Wall was an example of evil. The wall that is being built around Palestine by Israel is another sign of evil. Segregating the children of God, that's evil. That's the sinister side of Satanism. But don't be fooled. It takes a person of real strength to resist the temptations on the internet, because with the click of a finger on a button you can access all forms of dark energy. And I've seen it for myself when I typed in the early days when I was studying angelology, I typed in angels, and all of a sudden these women came up from Amsterdam, and I didn't realize, I thought they're not angelic beings of light. They were obviously women selling their wares. But then I accidentally came across other sites of pure evil. Child porn, little children being used and abused. That is not of God. That's evil. That's sinister. That's depravity. And all of that is linked in with the evil one. So we take heart and we pray. Father, Mother God of all faiths and none, you give each one of us the gift of free will to choose right from wrong. Guide our hearts today, so that nothing that opposes your will of love will enter our space and deceive us. And we ask it in the name of the risen cosmic Christ. Thank you for listening to an old monk. Be strong, be wise, and do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Thank you.